Morning, Glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined by United States Senator Tom Cotton. I just wanted to warn him, we can't talk about the inflation numbers, Senator. Joe Biden shut us down yesterday. I'm afraid the FCC will pull my license if we bring up the producer price index going up 0.8% month over month, inflation rolling around at 8.6% year over year. We're just not, I'm shut down. I don't know what to do.
Well, Hugh, Joe Biden was right yesterday that he's changed people's lives. $5 a gallon gas, kids trying to change their gender in school, crime surging in our streets. Yeah, he's changed a lot of Americans' life, Hugh.
Well, Senator Cotton, last night the Republicans won in Texas 34, taking a Democrat seat that hadn't gone for us since 2010 in a heavily Latino district. What do you see happen? I know you're out campaigning for Republicans. I don't know if you have a PAC or not that you're helping people with. Tell us if you do, and where have you been going, and what have you been hearing?
Yeah, well, one place where I've campaigned to you already was in Nevada for Adam Laxalt last summer, and I was very pleased to see Adam win a big victory, and I'm confident that we're going to win back the Nevada Senate seat later this year. Kathy Cortez Masto has voted in lockstep with Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer all year long. The victory in South Texas in the special election was also especially exciting. It continues the surge that we've seen in Latino voting for Republicans, because, again, Latinos don't want to pay $5 a gallon for their gas. They don't want to pay an extra $25 every week at the grocery store. They're worried about crime in their streets, and they're worried about the quality of their kids' education. So I think you're beginning to see what will be a massive, massive repudiation of the Democrats later this year.
Now, Senator, I go out, and I was out with the chairman of our company yesterday, and we were talking about the new poll on Americans do not want boys to compete in girls' sports. If they're genetically designed as boys, they don't want them to transition. And I told him, I don't talk about that on the air because it makes parents upset, and they turn it off. They will not listen to those stories. I don't take a position. I have great sympathy for anyone going through a difficult time with their child. But what do your campaign appearances tell you about boys playing girls' sports and young men playing young women's sports?
Well, Hugh, what most of our campaigns think is what most Americans see. If you saw that poll, that they think it's just nonsense. Of course, we want to be respectful and supportive of all people and their families. But at the same time, we can't let girls' sports be compromised by letting people who are biologically male, they have testosterone, they're taller, they're bigger, they have longer arms, they have big hands and big feet, which is good for a lot of sports, and they have the kind of rambunctiousness that you hear in the background.
They got big voices. I know. I love that. I love when that happens. It is what makes the Cotton appearances on the Hugh Hewitt Show so well. So, Senator Cotton, I want to get to the Afghanistan movie I saw in just a second about the collapse in Afghanistan. But before that, yesterday John Kerry said this. He was at USC, which is not exactly the font of all learning. But John Kerry said this, cut number 18.
An energy security worry is driving a lot of the thoughts now about, we need more drilling of gas. We need more drilling of this. We need to go back to coal. No, we don't. We absolutely don't. And we have to prevent a false narrative from entering into this, or, again, pun intended, we are cooked.
This is a cult, Senator Cotton. This is nuts. Americans are crushed by gas prices, and the Defense Production Act is being used for baby formula and solar panels, but not for gasoline production. To what do you say to John Kerry, former Secretary of State and now, quote, climate cult czar?
Well, Hugh, the Democrats care more about ideology than they care about your family's budget. That kind of thinking is what got us $5 a gallon gas. And in some states out west, it's almost $10 a gallon gas. Joe Biden wants to use the Defense Production Act, as you said, to produce more solar panels. Well, you know what? Solar panels aren't going to do much to help people when they're paying $5 a gallon for gas. It's also not going to do much for our military, or not going to do much for our efforts to support the military in Ukraine. Joe Biden's priorities reflect the diluted ideology of the far left in America today that is detached from your family's concerns and detached from reality.
Now, I believe Joe O'Dea will be nominated in Colorado. I believe Herschel Walker will be the winner in Georgia, but the attacks on both of them have become daily. And Democrats are contributing to their opponents in Colorado and other places in order to nominate fringe candidates. Are you out there yet for Herschel? Have you been up to New Hampshire yet for the state senator who's going to win Chuck who's going to win up there. Are you out there in those states working for people?
I've been on the campaign trail a lot already, Hugh, and I'll be on the campaign trail a lot more in some of these states once we are through the summer legislating session and we're past our primaries. For instance, I expect to be back in Nevada for Adam Laxalt. I do expect to campaign with Herschel Walker down in Georgia. Some of our other great nominees like Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania or J.D. Vance in Ohio, Ron Johnson in Wisconsin is probably the only incumbent we have that's been a really tough race this year, and I'll be working to help Ron as well. If folks want to learn more about that or pitch in, they can go to my Political Action Committee Republican Majority Fund, which is how I support these efforts. Because it's going to be a big effort. I mean, the Democrats are not just going to roll over and take their lumps this fall. They're going to do everything they can to at least try to hold on to the Senate. And the Senate is on the knife's edge. It's 50-50. It has been for 18 months. So we need everyone to do everything they can to make sure that we take back that majority in November.
RepublicanMajorityFund.com, RepublicanMajorityFund.com, Senator?
They can just search Tom Cotton and Republican Majority Fund, and they can learn all about what I've been up to and what I'm going to be doing.
All right, now, Senator, I saw the first cut of an Afghan documentary, a documentary about Save Our Allies, about the effort to get people out by retired Special Force operators during the collapse last year, maybe angry at Joe Biden all over again. And I listened to Tim Kennedy talk about his new book, Scars and Stripes, and about how they went out with special operators to get people beyond the wire. Will there, if the Republicans get the Senate, will there be a serious look at what went wrong in Afghanistan?
Yeah, Hugh, I can assure you there will be that. This administration has been trying to send the debacle in Afghanistan down the memory hole, especially the failures you had at the State Department in terms of planning for the evacuation. But on the Armed Services Committee, we'll also be checking it out from the Department of Defense standpoint.
Now, in terms of that would require the Armed Services Committee or a select committee? Because I am genuinely convinced Americans are still going to, if they see it in ads, they're going to vote against Democrats because of what happened. And they're not going to buy this was happening because of Donald Trump. They're not going to buy that. They're going to buy it with Joe Biden's plan, his hard deadline. So does the investigation have to go to a select committee or does it go to Armed Services?
Hugh, I think that's something that we'll handle on Armed Services Committee. Again, the real malfeasance was in Joe Biden's White House and the State Department. The State Department is the lead agency for any kind of non-combatant evacuation. They were really asleep at the switch. Obviously, the Department of Defense could have done things differently and probably better in some cases, but we'll be looking into that. And I think what you see right now with $5 a gallon gas, was kind of foretold by the debacle in Afghanistan. It's the same incompetence. It's the same people that were in charge in Afghanistan that is in charge of our economic policy.
And it's not going to change. Okay, last question, Senator, because obviously you've got to go tame the wilds. When we look at the defense budget and 8.6% inflation, that's hitting every combatant commander. That's hitting every level down. Is defense spending going to increase at least so we don't get a rolling cut in defense preparedness?
Well, Hugh, Jimmy Carter, after the Shah fell in Iran in 1979 and Russia invaded Afghanistan, was mugged by reality. So the 1980 defense budget was actually a little bit better than his previous three budgets. What we have with Joe Biden in the war in Ukraine and the collapse of Afghanistan is a president who is mugged by reality but refuses to press charges.
Huh?
The budget he submitted doesn't even keep up with his own inflation. So when you look at it, and you can break it down into consumer price inflation for all of the personnel costs we have in the military and production and manufacturing inflation for all of those kinds of activities, we probably need to get to almost $800 billion just to keep up with inflation to have the kind of real growth we need at, say, 3 to 5%, which most experts on both sides agree is what we need to keep pace with the threats. That probably needs to be closer to 840 and 850 billion. Now, this morning, when we start the annual drafting of the defense bill in the Armed Services Committee, we're going to significantly increase Biden's budget proposal, but I still don't think we're going to get to the point where it needs to be.
Will it get done, though? We have less than a minute. Will it get done, or because the continuing resolution is screwing everything up? I got told that by a Pentagon expert 2 days ago. Will it be a continuing resolution, or will you actually get a budget?
Hugh, I think we're destined for a continuing resolution this fall. I'm hopeful, though, that after the election, the Democrats will be licking their wounds so badly that they simply want to tie a bow on this year's work and that we can get a full-year spending bill for the Department of Defense so they can have the kind of certainty they need.
Senator Tom Cotton, thank you. Go Google Republican Victory Fund and Tom Cotton to figure out how to help candidates like Adam Laxalt all across the country. Don't go anywhere, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt.